Hi, welcome to my channel. And today's topic is a poem called Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time poem is written by Gabriel Okara. Gabriel Okara is a Nigerian poet who is born on April 21st, 1921. He is a Nigerian poet and novelist, and he may be proclaimed as highly original and uninfluenced by other poets. He has been extremely successful in apprehending the moods, sights, and sounds of Africa. His poems show great sensitivity, perspective judgments, and tremendous energy. Okara also shows a concern on the topic of what happens when the ancient culture of Africa is faced with the modern Western culture. Gabriel Okara is the first significant English language African poet to write in modern style. With Okara, Nigerian poetry in English matures and taken a big leap forward. Conflict of identity is often emerged as an issue in Okara's poems. It is not only contradicts with the Western and African concepts and values, but also develops the identity of Africans with its own history and perspectives. He was greatly concerned about the African people and their thoughts. Though he is caught between the two different worlds, Okara appreciates his native culture and tradition by accepting the alien culture as it is. He has been extremely successful in capturing the mood, sights, and sounds of Africa by using the rhythms. And he further tries to capture the culture, voice, values of the African people. And Nigeria was colonized by the Britishers in the year 1885, and of course, it was given independence in 1960. And the poem explores the impact of Western development and change in cultural values and tradition. Coming back to the title of the poem, Once Upon a Time, have you ever heard your grandmother or grandfather talking about how the world was very different when they were children? Have you heard them say that the people had more time to talk to each other or meet each other in the olden days? As children, we are innocent, loving, and honest about our feelings. But as time passes, many social and cultural factors, experiences change our personality and behavior. These experiences often take away some of our honesty and innocence. In some of the way, the old way of life was innocent like child because in those days people were more honest and caring about each other than they are in the busy modern world today. The poet wishes that the modern world would once again become innocent and childlike. He also wishes that he could once again be as natural, honest, and innocent as when he was a child. Let us look at the themes of this poem, what Gabriel Okara focuses. He focuses on parent-child relationship between people, a clash of culture and values, hope for the future. And if you look at the background of this poem from Nigerian context, and he deals with the loss of Nigerian identity, and it also talks about the colonization by the Britishers in the year 1885, and it also talks about the liberation of Nigeria in 1960, and of course the poet also focuses on the influence by this Western culture and values, and finally it also deals with the impact of Western development. Once Upon a Time poem is a small poem consisting of 7 stanzas, each stanza containing between 4 or 8 lines here. Let's have a look at stanza 1. Let me read out. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes, but now they only laugh with their teeth, while their eyes block whole eyes search behind my shadow. So in this stanza, Gabriel Okara writes Once Upon a Time Son. So when he writes son, it shows that he is talking to his son or someone who is younger than him, likely to be in his childhood days. And the poet tells his son about the behavior of the people in the past and the present, that is, in the olden days and in the modern world. He then writes the next line, they used to love with their hearts and love with their eyes. By saying used to, he shows that it happened in the past but does not happen in the present, that is now. And he says that before people would love with their hearts and would really love out of happiness, but now they only laugh with their teeth. While their eyes block cool eyes search behind my shadow. When poet says now they only laugh with their teeth, he means that the people now, when they do laugh, only they laugh for the sake of laughing, but not out of real happiness. The poet goes on saying that while their eyes block cool, I search behind my shadow. By using a metaphor, he writes, of course, the writer says the person who is laughing laugh with his or her eyes, and there is no happiness, and whatever inside the person's eyes, while they search behind his shadow, as in they look right past him without paying any much attention to him or her whatsoever. So stanza one summed up is talking about when he was young, when people would laugh with their hearts, and now people have changed to laugh without happiness and to fake laugh, while their cool eyes would be dead with grief. So in this stanza, the poet tells his son about the behavior of the people in the past and in the present, in the olden days and in the modern world. So he remembers a time when people had true feelings for one another, and they would laugh from their hearts and meet one another with a genuine feeling. Let me read the second stanza. There was a time indeed, they used to shake hands with their hearts, but that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. So Gabriel, they used to shake hands with their hearts, but now that's gone. When he says this, he means that the people in the past would shake hands actually and be happy. That is, they would actually shake hands with pleasure. But now that's gone. That shows that is no more now. But today in the modern busy world, people often greet each other without any warmth in their shake hand. And he means that the people would have shaken hands with happiness before. Now they shake hands without any joy and be boredom actually as he goes away. And the poet goes on telling the next line, now they shake hands without hearts. So the next line in the same stanza says, while their left hand search my empty pocket. So this shows that the writer is indicating that a person who is meeting is searching his pockets while they are empty. So which you give an idea that the poet would not have any valuables in his pocket and he is stripped off completely. And Okara uses blunt metaphors in this poem to describe how the eyes block whole eyes of the people. Now they don't have any emotion, so that is lack of emotion, and emphasizing the harsh intrusiveness of such people and the eyes who are scrutinizing the people, looking for ways to exploit their friendship. So to summarize this particular stanza, there were people in the early 19th century and who would greet each other with their full hearts and out of their happiness with a good intention, whereas nowadays it has turned completely opposite and people don't shake hands without heart and they search in your pockets while they are doing so. So that's about the second stanza. Let us see the third stanza here. Feel at home, come again, they say, and when I come again and feel at home once, twice, there will be no thrice, for then doors shut on me. So in the third stanza, and of course the third stanza starts with feel at home, come again, they say. By this we can understand that the poet is reminding us of how we invite people to our homes and for a cup of tea, and later he says that and when I come again and I feel at home once or twice, okay, but there will be no thrice. So by saying this poet, so it means that when a person is invited home, there once it is okay, twice it is okay, but we don't accept after two times here, and there will be no third time, as the poet says in the poem, and we will not allow them to come as our guests even after third time also. For then I find the door shut on me. So one day or 2 days, there is a saying actually, one day or 2 days you will be guest, but if you continue the third onwards, you will be the ghost to the family members. So according to Indian culture, so we have a sacred culture in India that guest is none other than Atithi Devo Bhava. So it means that the arrival of the guest at any time is like the arrival of God actually, and the guest shall be treated thus. So this sentiment is deep rooted in our Indian culture even today also. So the third stanza, the poet is trying to say that when people invite each other for a tea or for a dinner or for just his or her house, then they will allow them to come a couple of times with pleasure, but after a while they will get fed up actually and slam the doors and the shut on you directly. In other words, let us not allow you to come actually into our house. So this is happening quite often in the towns, cities where they don't like to invite their near and dear people. So that's about the third stanza. So stanza 4 now. So I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear many faces like dresses, home face, office face, street face, horse face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile. So while sharing with his son, Gabriel Okara says in the second line of this stanza, that is in the fourth stanza, I have learned to wear many faces, which shows that he has adopted to wear different faces for different occasions. When he goes on to saying some of the occasions and their faces like office faces, street faces, and finally goes on to say like a fixed portrait smile, which indicates that all these faces never change, and it is like a smile fixed for its own occasion. What is portrait? And portrait is nothing but a fixed image to the wall, so it never changes, it is smile. And to be a part of the society, we need to learn behavior that is accepted in society generally, because we begin to learn this kind of things as we grow up and behave according to the situation we are in. We learn this behavior so well that our traditional behavior slowly disappears, and in each different situation we behave in the way that is considered and appropriate for the situation. And the poet says that he behaves very differently in the office compared to the way he behaves at the party or home or somewhere else, and none of these different faces that he puts on his are not actually the real faces. For example, when we are introduced to someone, we are taught to say glad to meet you. So the poet also says that he too sometimes politely greets a person in this way, even though he may not be interested in meeting that person. So the poet feels that whether you like it or not, you are supposed to use the sentence glad to meet you. Summing up this poem, that is stanza 4, this has been focused on how people tend to change their facial expressions and for different occasions, and how for each occasion people tend to have a different smile like a fixed picture, and that will never change. Let me read the fifth stanza. I have learned to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance, to say glad to meet you without being glad, and to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. So the poet starts off stanza 5 by signifying that he also has adopted to the new environment around him, that he has also picked up the bad habits that are hovering around him by saying that I have learned too. So he says that to laugh with only my teeth, and which suggests that he has also learned how to laugh without happiness and to laugh only for the sake of laughing. And the writer goes on and writes, I have also learned to say goodbye when he feels to say that he doesn't want to meet them again, and he says glad to meet you though he is not glad. And he demonstrated all these learnings that how he has learned in this hypocritical world. To summarize this stanza, the writer is saying that there are no true emotions in these words and feelings, and they are said with just his tongue and not with his heart. So overall in this stanza, the writer shows his environment has had impact on how he behaves. So how he is emotionally detached from the people, and how it is destroyed actually his passion and made his heart actually unfeeling. So the sixth stanza like this. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be when I was like you. I want to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, I want to relearn. how to laugh, for my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. So in stanza 6, the poet describes how he used to be. It seems that he is talking to a child or a young man who has not experienced the changing of heart, who has not been yet influenced by the environment and the society in which he lives. The poet says in the first line of the stanza, that is the sixth stanza, believe me, son, because he is emphasizing and he is trying to regret, I want to be what I used to be, and I want to unlearn all these muting things. I want to relearn how to laugh. So these lines describe his desperation to go back to his olden days and innocent days, where he felt life was simple and his emotions were honest and emotions. It also describes his hope and desires to unlearn all the bad habits that he has picked up over all these years. There are three important words in the stanza we need to focus, that is learn, unlearn and relearn. So unlearn, according to an American writer, that is Alvin Toffler, an American writer who describes this unlearn, or who describes this literate or illiterate in his own words, the illiterate of this 21st century is not a man or a woman who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. So that is very important word that we need to learn from this poem. And if you see the last stanza of this poem, so show me, son, how to laugh, show me how I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. So in the seventh stanza, he asks his son and almost he pleads and requests him to show me how to laugh, show me how I used to laugh and smile. So the writer sums up that he has been trying to say something throughout the poem to a person whom he is talking in this particular poem. So all the good habits that he has lost, and he is requesting him to teach all the emotions back to actually that whatever he has left. So the poem does not rhyme the poet that he has used repetition to slow the poem down and make the reader feel a heaviness of the poet's heart here. So the poet uses similes, metaphors throughout the poem. For example, when he says, I have learned to wear many faces like dresses, implying different expressions for different occasions. And the poet has used a very strong metaphor when he writes that his laugh in the mirror is like a snake's bare fangs. A snake is commonly used as mythology and fairy tales to describe evil and insincerity and dishonesty. So this suggests that when he laughs, you see his teeth and smiles, but his intentions are also insincere and dishonest. So the poet Gabriel Okara uses this poem to convey his feelings about the loss of traditional African culture against Western influences. And the overall theme of this poem is about happier times gone past and hopes for a happy ending for when the writer longs for, as in the fairy tale, and therefore he uses the title as Once Upon a Time as the title of this poem. So in respect of language study from this poem, and the poet has used many phrases in English which we need to learn. Once upon a time, laugh with their hearts, laugh with their eyes, laugh with their teeth, eyes block hole eyes, behind my shadow, shake hands with their hearts, shake hands without hearts, search my empty pockets, a fixed portrait smile, goodbye, good riddance, glad to meet you, it has been nice talking to you, snakes bare fangs. So if you go through the poem carefully, and the poet has used some new words in the poem, like faces that he wears like a dresses, like office face, home face, street face, horse face, and cocktail face also. So of all the verbs used by the poet in this poem, and only few are very important in these unprecedented times during especially COVID-19, like unlearn and relearn here, because we need to change our lifestyle here afterwards. We are not getting and we are not going to take the poem here very seriously, since the poem was written somewhere 1960s. So and today's conditions are totally different, because today we see no shake hand and no gatherings, no meetings, and no guests, no parties, nothing at all here. So, and the only slogan is given by the entire world is stay home, stay safe, and stay alert. So, no guests at home, no trips around the world, and today we are all wearing a new face universally, that is, I think, mask face, which you should never avoid. Take care of yourself and others too. And please follow the questions and MCQs followed hereafter in this video. And I hope you all enjoyed the video and you all enjoyed the poem. And thank you for watching this video.